What is happening, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Fresh Hope for Better You podcast. As always, I'm your host, Oliver Goulet, and I'm here to bring you some fresh hope for your day. Today is a very special day. Today is the day that I am bringing on my first podcast guest to share their story. When I first started the podcast, it was basically to share my ideas, my thoughts, and all that good stuff with you guys in order to hopefully help inspire you. But now that we're 35 episodes deep, I figured I might as well start bringing on some very inspirational people, and I'm very excited to introduce our guest today, Jessi Stracham, who is an amazing individual. She is truly an inspiration. If you don't get some sort of inspiration from this podcast, I suggest you stop listening because this is going to be a good one. So welcome aboard, Jessi. I'm grateful for you joining me today, and I'm excited to chat with you.
I am so excited to be here, and I'm just so grateful that you have me today.
Uh-oh, kind of cutting out.
Oh no, no, no,
Oh,
no,
we're
no.
good. We're
We're
good.
good?
We're good.
Okay,
You're
I was
back.
like, I
Yeah.
turned the Wi-Fi off my device, I swear. I'm just really grateful to be here, though. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited for today's conversation.
So today's conversation go along lines of me basically having her share her story. She's got an incredible story, and once you guys, check her out on Instagram after this, you guys can see how amazing of a person this is. So, basically, give me a little rundown: who you are, where you're from, how old are you, and so forth.
Hey, so I'm Jessi. My full name is literally Jessi. It's not short for Jessica. I want to start with that. Some people want to call me Jessica, and I'm like, not my name. I'm 31 years old. I live outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm a full-time wheelchair user, which is crazy because I did not grow up this way. I grew up completely non-disabled. I raced four-wheelers across the country. I lived my best life, literally got to live the dream. And then when I was 22, I was a passenger on a motorcycle. The driver didn't stop in time when an SUV made a U-turn in front of us. So he went through her back window, broke his leg. I went over the SUV, broke my back in two places, chest completely collapsed, ribs punctured my lungs, nicked my spinal cord, and paralyzed me. I have a traumatic brain injury, and I coded twice and had to be resuscitated.
That is insane. It is a blessing that you survived that because not many people would survive something like that. So it just goes to show that you are here for a reason today, and that is to share your incredible story. Because I didn't mention this girl is just a straight badass, guys. I hope you guys realize that. You guys will continue to realize that as the conversation goes on. So going into your accident, when it happened, like how long were you in the hospital? How long did that whole thing take for you just to, get back to your house?
So when I was in the hospital, it was crazy. I was unconscious for the first 2 days. At some point when I was coding, I saw my own grandmother. She told me it wasn't my time. I couldn't stay with her. She couldn't stay with me, but I had things to do and people to get back to. And so I was like, dang, I crossed over and came back, which is nuts, right? And so the first week was just touch and go. I was fighting for my life. At one point, I got moved to the progressive unit and my oxygen kept dropping. And so they moved me back to ICU and put the tube down my throat while I was awake. And I still have some nightmares about that. It was the most traumatizing experience. And then
I can only imagine. That is insane.
well, then, yeah, so from there, they pulled that out, oxygen still dropping. That was the biggest thing because I punctured both lungs. So they could not get my oxygen stable. So then they were shoving a suction up my nose into my lungs. They did that 5 times in one day. And then I told them to trach me, which is where they put the hole in your neck. And you have to like put your hand over it and you talk like this. And so a little dramatic. But they trached me. And after that, I was actually able to move to rehab. So I was fighting with my oxygen for about 3.5 weeks. Got moved to inpatient rehab, was there for 3 weeks, went home, got an infection in my intestines called C. diff, got put back in the hospital after just a week of being home. I was in the hospital for a week and then got put back in rehab for an additional 3 weeks. So it was almost 3 months that I was in the hospital altogether.
That is insane. You have been through hell and back. That is just wild to fathom. I mean, I hate staying in the hospital for more than a couple hours. So, and I've
Right.
had multiple surgeries and stuff. And honestly, I want to get out of there as fast as possible. And I know, like, the environment in a hospital, like, yes, it's, great because they're helping save people, but when you're in there, it sucks. There's no way around it. I don't know anyone that's like, yeah, I'm happy I'm in the hospital. Like, no. So just mad props to you for, being able to stick with it for that long, because I would have lost my shit. There's no way around it. I would have done something to get out of there. That's for sure. So with that being said, is there a point like during that whole thing, like where you kind of played like the victim card, like why this happened to me, like why? And could you elaborate on like what your thoughts were going on throughout that time?
It was very interesting because I joined Facebook support groups immediately while I was in ICU. Like I couldn't talk because I was trached, but I'm in these Facebook support groups and I'm like, hey, this is the injury I have. I need to know what life is going to look like. And these people just start posting, they're working, they're living, they're doing sports. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'm going to be okay. And in the hospital, I had that mindset of I'm going to be okay. I got a factory ride from Polaris. I was going to be back to racing off road literally when I got out of the hospital. I literally had everything kind of handed to me when I got out. So I was good to go. But it wasn't until I got out that I was like, poor me, feel bad for me. I use a wheelchair. And I think it's a lot, it stems from all that attention you get when it does happen because people do feel bad. But then you carry that, and there comes a point where it's like you have to get over it. But probably for the first year to, I'm going to say first 2 to 3 years, I was definitely the victim of my reality. I'm like, oh, because I'm a wheelchair user, you should give me this. Because I'm a wheelchair user, you should do that. And then I realized, like, Jesse, you literally just went through some bad shit, but you haven't created anything. So how can you expect people to respect you and give you things and support your cause if you don't even have a cause that you're pushing or you've created? So that's when my nonprofit was born. It's called Wheel With Me Foundation, and we serve the independence of wheelchair users. So we have quarterly empowerment weeks where members of the community teach their skill or trade to other members of the community. So we've had a nutritionist on, we've had fitness coaches, growth mindset coaches, actors, advocates, lawyers, job seekers, like people out there that just give a tangible resource to the community that they can take and apply in their own life to make their own dreams come true.
That's awesome. I will make sure to drop the link in to that in the show notes and stuff so people can, check it out and stuff. Is it open for donations and all that good stuff for the
Yeah,
cause?
Wheel With Me Foundation's a 501c3 nonprofit, and we're taking donations. Our ultimate goal is to build a transitional community for wheelchair users. So essentially a halfway house where wheelchair users learn from other wheelchair users how to be independent, how to go out and get back in the workforce, how to create fitness and nutrition and use that for longevity of independence, because that's really what it's about. Like, yeah, it's one thing to look good and be strong, but it's another thing to be independent into your 70s and 80s, especially as a wheelchair user, because as we age, muscle mass reduces. And it's like, if we're not proactive now, it's going to affect us in the long term. And that's really what my coaching's about. It's not about looking at the right now, it's looking at 10, 15 years down the road, because too many of us are stuck in this moment right now. And we're not thinking about the impacts that what we do now, what it has on 10 to 15 years from now.
Yeah, that's freaking awesome. So yeah, make sure to check that out, guys. She is making a change, and these people need it. So make sure you guys definitely check that out. So that goes into the conversation of you're a coach, just like me. You help people, and we are all about fitness and nutrition. That is a huge part of my life, and I know it's a huge part of your life. Even though you are in a wheelchair, you still kick ass, take names, do CrossFit, do all these badass things that majority of the people that can walk don't even do. So that if that doesn't spark your interest in wanting to move more, because this girl kicks ass and takes names while she's in a wheelchair, you literally have no excuses, because you can make up all the excuses and this girl doesn't. So just realize that. So when did you start coaching?
Oh my gosh. So it's so funny. I gained 30 pounds my first year of being a wheelchair user. and I couldn't transfer. I'd fall on the floor, get stuck on the floor, couldn't get myself back into the chair. And so I was like, oh, I should probably lose some weight. And I found CrossFit. And then I was like, well, maybe I should like think about my nutrition. Oh, and while I'm thinking about like my physical nutrition, maybe I should think about what I'm consuming mentally to get my mind right. And that's when the victimhood really shifted, was when I started actually focusing on what I was consuming for my mind. And I realized I had to unfollow a lot of other wheelchair users because I realized how much their feed and their content was about how we were being wronged and how the world was out to get us, and ableism and all of these trigger words that these people like to use to spark that emotion, to spark that sympathy, essentially. And I was like, oh, wow, I've become a product of what I'm consuming. Maybe I should consider that. And so I really started with like the mindset stuff and the physical movement. And then I really started focusing on the nutrition. And it was in 2020, I completely lost my independence. I couldn't transfer. I was working out and getting weaker. I couldn't get dressed. I was literally dragging myself into my wheelchair and kind of like crawling into it because my shoulder health became so poor. And I later found out it was because I was in muscle breakdown. And so late 2020, I won the HQ trip to First Form, and I met Will, and Will goes, man, Jesse, sounds like you're just not eating enough protein. Have you ever thought about tracking your nutrition? We have an app for that. And I was like, well, let me try this out. And I had just become a Legionnaire. It was when Sam Funderburg first started there. So he was my Legionnaire coach, and we really started our First Form journey together. And I became an advisor in the app. And I got about a year into that. And then I went back to work full time being an orthodontic assistant. And I was like, this just ain't it. I don't want to do this. So Kevin, who's an athlete for First Form, he had a giveaway around Christmas. And one of the things was a partial scholarship for NCI, or the Nutrition Coaching Institute. And so I took their level 1 course for nutrition coaching, and it just completely opened my eyes. And I was like, wow, this is really what I want to do, because nutrition saved my shoulder health. Within 6 months of meeting my protein goals, I was no longer getting cortisone shots in my shoulders. I regained my independence, and I was actually putting mass on my shoulders for the first time in 5 years. And so I was like, wow, if nutrition literally has this power in this short amount of time, how many people in my community are getting shoulder surgery that could have corrected it by eating enough?
Yeah, no, that's insane. Most of people's health related issues literally can be solved by fitness and nutrition.
Yeah.
And instead, now we have, the pharmaceutical industry that's very predatorial. That's like, oh, they're just going to make money. You go to the doctors, guess what? They want you on pills. Like, for example, when I went to my sleep study today, they're like, oh, why'd you quit taking your Adderall? And I was like, because I'm very much against the pharmaceutical industry. It fucks with my brain chemistry, all this stuff. And they're like, well, now you're falling asleep and tired throughout the day. I was like, I'd rather deal with that than have something fuck with my brain chemistry for the rest of my life. That just like put a band-aid on the problem. The problem is I have shitty sleep. The problem isn't I don't have the energy. It's because I'm getting shitty sleep is why I don't have the energy. I work out, I eat clean, so I'm doing all this stuff, and now I'm just getting to the root of the problem. And most people, they lack the depth on trying to get to the root of the problem. They just want the quick fix. That's where our society is nowadays. They're just trained for that quick fix. And as you know, it takes hard work to lose weight. It takes hard work to get physically fit. And everyone is always looking for that magic pill or, that quick fix. And that is the problem with most people. And most people just need to realize that your problems can most likely, your health problems can be solved by the food that you eat and as much as you move your body. And it's very simple. So I absolutely love that. And it's funny that you say that about Sam, because that's when I started. That's exactly when I became a Legionnaire, is when Sam first started too. And so I basically got that traded. It's funny because I had done 75 hard. I never heard about tracking macros. I went like, 6 months of just eating chicken, rice, and broccoli and lost a bunch of weight doing 75 hard. And then Sam's like, you ever track your macros? And I was like, the fuck are macros? Like, I don't know what that is. He's like, bro, it'll change your life. And I was like, all right, well, I'll give it a shot. And then I realized how little protein I was actually eating. Even though I was eating like 3 servings of chicken, I still was not getting an adequate amount of protein. As soon as I did that, complete transformation with my body composition, just my overall strength, everything. And I was just like, man, if only more people knew about this. And then guess what? I became an advisor in the app, and I started educating people on it, started changing lives just like you. So that's freaking awesome.
I love how alike a lot of our stories are when it comes to First Form. Like it's definitely I got drawn in by the culture. It was Amber Balkan. She's the girl that races ARCA. So she gave me the pumpkin spice protein because she knew how much I love pumpkin spice. And I was like, oh wow, this is amazing. And then it was our mutual friend Jamie. She's like, you should apply to be an athlete. And I was like, okay. She's like, your guys' values are just a lot alike. Like your values are like with the company. And then that's really what drew me in was the core values of the company, and it wasn't even the products, but then you start using the products, you start using the app, and you realize, wow, like this company has our best interest. And that's really the culture is what pulls you in, but the company itself truly does have your best interest. And I think that's what's so important for people to understand about First Form. Like sometimes it could feel like a cult, but it's not a cult, I swear.
It and like yeah, my parents and everyone that knows I associate First Form like, oh, that's your cult, and I'm like, at least it's got culture and it's something that is there to help us. Like that's the thing. If it was a bad cult, yeah, you can give me shit, and I probably shouldn't be a part of it. But guess what? This company is truly changing the world one person at a time. It's changed my life. It's changed your life. It's changed millions of people's lives. So the fact that people like talk down upon First Form or give people like us shit about, oh, it's part of a pyramid scheme. I'm not a part of a pyramid scheme. There's no
No.
one below me. I don't make money off anyone. I make money off the supplements that we sell and helping people get results. That's it. There ain't no pyramid scheme about that. The fact that we are actually just doing right and just things in the industry, it wasn't common for the longest time until Andy. It's funny because he just talked about this on his call last night in Arte. I'm part of Arte, and they were talking about how that the fitness industry was like all about the quick fixes and stuff like that. And Andy said that to his partner Chris that even if we don't make a killing and I don't make it and live the lifestyle I want, as long as I continue to have people come in the door 5, 6, 7 months down the road losing 50 to 100 pounds, it's going to be worth it to me. And the fact that they broke it down and they told people there is no quick fix. It's going to take long, hard work to be able to reach your goals. It's not easy. We're not going to sell you some bullshit supplement that's going to just fix all your problems like they say, because that's not what they want. They actually changed the fitness industry. Now you don't see all the quick fixes, all the fads and stuff like that really going around the industry. Very few and far between, because they changed the entire industry. Now everyone knows, yeah, it's gonna be fucking hard. So that's just like the biggest thing with people. They just don't realize that. And the fact that we're a part of such a great organization that has us so bought into it because it aligned with us. And I didn't even like the whole time I did 75 hard, I didn't understand, like, I didn't even know about First Form until I had completed 75 hard because he doesn't talk about it on his show or anything. I listen to Real AF and MFCO Project every single day. Never once heard him talk about it. I knew he was a business owner, but didn't even know till after. Then I was like, what is First Form? I started looking online. I started buying some of the protein, and then all of a sudden I was like, how do I become more a part of this? Because they send you that thank you card with the handwritten note on it. I'm like, dude, I've never gotten this from any company in the world. What the fuck? Like, this is insane. And just that little thing that just shows that they care made you buy in so much more. So I know that you had that same feeling when you started.
Oh yeah, that it's 100%. And it is, I think it's amazing the impact that we get to have. And it's such an honor. Like I feel like First Form, everyone that signs up to be a Legionnaire, they find their own purpose and they create their own coaching program. And like for me, I coach one-on-one and I charge for that, but I use the app for coaching because it's so convenient as a coach to be able to use this and have the way we're able to have the conversations, see the assessments, see everything in one place. And it really streamlines your coaching. And I think that's important to know from the coaching side of like, hey, this actually is something, it's an awesome tool to make your life easier.
Yeah, 100%. It's such a user-friendly app between the education, the macro tracking, and all the amazing workout programs. It blows my mind. Like, you can't get through all the workout programs. It's insane. And it's just like, it's such a useful tool for just as little as $12.99 a month. Like, you literally can't get that anywhere else. And that just goes to show this company cares, because they could be charging hundreds of dollars a month, because when you do get the app, you get an advisor that's a certified nutrition coach like me or Jesse. in the app that actually knows their shit and that is going to lead you in the right direction. We're not just gonna be like, oh, take this supplement, take this, do this. Like, no, hit your protein, water, calories, work out every day, and then guess what? We'll fill in the other gaps later, because if you don't have your base down, the supplements aren't going to do anything. We're not going to shove them down your throat no matter what, because we want to get you results. At the end of the day, we're here to get people results, and that's all that matters. So, no, that's awesome. I also just use the app for the coaching and stuff like that, and I have my one-on-one coaching, and it's just been an amazing tool. And also, I mean, I owe First Form everything. For like literally, Andy Frisella changed my entire life.
Entire
I
life.
wouldn't be, yeah, literally, yes, exactly. Like, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that man. I'd probably be dead. I'm not gonna lie, because I was going down a very dark path, and ultimately he helped pull me onto the right path. And yeah, I drank the Kool-Aid of First Form, and I'll continue until the day I die. Literally, that's just how it goes.
I cannot agree more. I feel the same exact way. And it made me realize how much I was still using my disability as a crutch. And it was, Andy sharing his own story and how he was kind of his own victim for a little bit. And then he just committed to himself. And I too, I've done 75 hard. And, the whole Live Hard program as a whole, like it just makes you realize how much we make excuses to live under our potential and how much more we're capable of. Yeah, I use a wheelchair, but the fact that it was so funny because my recent surgery during recovery, I looked at my roommate and I'm like, I felt so crappy. I had like a UTI. I have low anemia right now from the surgery. And I'm like struggling with these other medical issues that I typically don't have. But I'd been off my nutrition for a couple of weeks because I didn't have the appetite. I was in the hospital, right? And I'm like, is this what other wheelchair users feel like? Because I don't have disabled problems because of I feel like it's because of my lifestyle, because of how active I am, because of how much I prioritize standing, because of how clean I eat, because of what I fuel my mind. Like because of my lifestyle, I don't have medical issues. I just literally can't walk.
Yeah, 100%. And this just goes to show, guys, 75 hard, anyone can do it. Jesse is in a wheelchair and she crushed it. What the fuck is your excuse? Oh, I don't have the time. I don't have this. Like, you have the fucking time. Look at where you're wasting it. And the fact that you can do it. Like, Andy made the program specifically for anyone to be able to achieve it. You can walk twice a day for 45 minutes. You can follow a clean diet, whole foods diet. You don't have to do this extravagant workouts. You don't have to go do CrossFit like me and Jesse. You don't have to do any of those things. You can simply just walk. And something that I've realized is, even when I'm kind of like living a little bit below my standard and I'm like kind of like, dang, dude, you really need to step up your game. And then I start like looking around me to all these other people, and it's just like, they're like, dude, you're absolutely crushing it. And deep down, I'm just like, dude, I've kind of been slacking off a little bit with myself. I like what? Like, but then they're comparing themselves to, the average person really doesn't do anything. I mean, the average man can't even do a single pull up, if that says anything. Like, it's just wild to think about these things. They can't do 10 push-ups, and it's just like, what is your ideal, like, is that your ideal life? Do you want to do that? Guess what? It's not going to happen overnight, but the fact that if you continuously just work at something every single day, you will get there. That goes with anything in life. Andy Frisella didn't become Andy Frisella overnight. He became
Right.
Andy Frisella from doing 24 years of the shit that he does to this day. And the same thing with us. We didn't get to the point where we are at today by just, jumping the gun. We had to take those little steps every single day. And both of us had tremendous setbacks. And, if you guys don't see how Jesse was able to not just, use her accident as a crutch, but now she uses a tool to inspire others. I don't really know what else to tell you guys, like, to inspire you. That should just be enough right there.
Well, that's like back in the spring. So I have a spinal fusion or rods and screws in my back holding it together. And back in the spring, I broke it in half completely. And it was wear and tear over the last 3 years. The surgeon showed me when I went in 2020, I went in during the pandemic and I had a hairline crack in it. And I swore up and down it was making noise. And the doctor that saw me at that time said, "You're fine. There's nothing wrong with it." So I've done Tough Mudder since then. I've done World's Toughest Mudder, which is a 24-hour Tough Mudder. I've done wheel wad games, so competing in CrossFit, and it's just been so intense. And I finally broke it in half. So I had to wear a brace to stabilize my spine because it was completely unstable. And I've actually started recovering from my spinal cord injury. So I've regained sensation below my level of injury. I've regained some muscle control below my level of injury, which I wasn't supposed to. And so I'm very grateful for that. And the surgeon was like, yeah, you need to chill. But I did, after Summer Smash, which is First Form's like big summer event, I came home and 2 days later started 75 hard. And I asked my now business partner, Nikki Walsh, who's another Legionnaire wheelchair user coaching in the fitness space as well. I was like, do you want to start with me? And she said, yeah. And then I asked my roommate, I'm like, do you want to start? And she said, yeah. And then another one of our friends, Lisa, she started. And another one, Leslie, started. So there was 5 of us wheelchair using women that were doing 75 hard together. But I started it literally 76 days before my spinal surgery to prepare. And in that, I have, mind you, I have a broken spinal fusion. I'm in a full brace. I'm not stable, and I'm doing 75 hard. One workout was therapy based, so I would walk in my leg braces or do a mobility thing. And then the other one was like an actual workout with weights. So, and I tracked macros. My goal was protein and calories with whole foods. Obviously no alcohol, no cheat meals. I don't drink anyways. And we went through it, and it was so cool to have that support of not only other people doing it, because there was other Legionnaires like Chet and I would like tag each other in our stories and stuff and hold each other accountable on Instagram. But then I had this group of peers essentially that were doing it with me. And so that's why I tell anybody that wants to start the program, get a friend, do it with a friend, because it definitely helps having that extra accountability of like, well, Nikki and I the whole summer, I'm like, well, I don't want to let Nikki down. And Nikki's like, I don't want to let Jesse down. And it turned into us doing it for someone else, which gave us a lot more rewarding feeling at the end of the program. But in 76 days, I had a 14% increase in my endurance with a broken spinal fusion and using a wheelchair.
That's freaking incredible. You are a badass, Jesse. Not gonna lie. And the thing with bringing a friend along, I totally agree with that, because the first time I did it was back 4 years ago, and I did it because I knew I needed to do it, and I didn't know anyone. I didn't know anyone for First Form. I just heard about Andy talk about 75 hard, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna start this on my 22nd birthday. I'm done with all the bullshit. I need to change, and I did it all by myself. And once I started really prioritizing myself and just working out and exercising, eating clean, you got this tremendous amount of hate from people. I did personally, and like the fact that, oh, why are you doing this? Like, oh, you're 75 off. Like, just have a drink, do this, and it was like, no, I'm doing this. And then probably about halfway through, I just quit hanging around anyone because I didn't have anyone. So I literally did the last like 40 days of 75 hard by myself. I just worked because I worked for myself, and I worked out and exercised, and it really just showed me a lot about who I am and what I want out of life. And it made me take a step back and look at like, are these people actually your friends? Because that's the thing a lot of people struggle with, is the fact that they think all these people are their friends. But if they're truly your friends and you start to do something to better yourself and they start saying like shitty remarks or like talking down upon you, those really aren't your friends. And I really had to realize that. And like, once you quit doing the shitty things, like me was with drugs and alcohol, I quit doing those things. Those people faded out of my life because they realized like, oh, he's too good for us and all this stuff. And it's like, well, fuck yeah, I'm too good for you. I don't need to sit around and do drugs and party all the time. Like, I got shit to do. I'm trying to make something of myself. And if you hate me for that, go for it. You don't need to be a part of my life because I'm building something huge. And it just like having a friend, like I've done 75 hard 3 times, live hard twice. And you know how Andy and everyone started, I think it was 25 days ago. Me and my girlfriend, we were just getting back from her bodybuilding show, and she had just done prep for like 18 weeks. And she was absolutely shredded, and she was like super excited to like be able to eat all these foods and stuff. And then on the way back, we were listening to that podcast with Emily interviewing him, and they announced that they were starting tomorrow. And she's like, I think I need to do 75 hard. And I was like, shit, like, do you really want to do it? And we decided that the next day, like, even though I was on phase 2 already, I was like 20 some days into phase 2, had failed it a couple of times, had to restart. I was like, you know what, if you really want to do 75 hard, I'll start over tomorrow and I will do 75 hard with you, so it's not just you and you can actually do it. So literally after she had 1 day of cheat meals, and then she got into 75 hard after doing this 18-week prep. My girlfriend's a straight badass, I'm not gonna lie. Like, that is some badass shit right there. It's just, she, and one thing, like, it was, I think it was 2 weekends ago, it was we were walking. She's like, "Have you noticed anything differently around this time of 75 hard?" And I was like, "No, not really." And she's like, "Well, you know, have you felt that every other time?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did. Every time it's been something different. This time it just doesn't feel. It just kind of feels mundane. Like it feels like I'm just going through the motions and stuff like that." And then I re-listened to Will's episode of 75 Hard, and he just talks about doing things with intent. And I
Yeah.
like it clicked with me. I was like, I'm not having intention behind this. So ever since then, like I'm like, all right, now it's intentional. Like everything I'm doing is just completely different because I have intentions behind it. And like doing 75 hard, you need to have an intention behind it because yeah, you can just go through the program, but if you want to really get the full benefits from it, you have to be intentional about everything you're doing in it. Like you have to attach a why to why you're doing this. And so that's just something that like you can really, feed off other people's energy. So when you want to do something like 75 hard, it is much easier to grab a friend and make it worthwhile to do it. And it makes it that much more fun because you're not only betting yourself, you have someone else holding you accountable and you're holding them accountable.
I'm so excited to start phase one. So I made it my first time I've done 75 hard. I made it to day 6 of phase 3 and then failed. And I'm like, oh, I just failed the whole year. Shit. And so now my goal is to make it through the entire Live Hard program. But phase one's my favorite part of the program. Since the last time I did phase one, I'm still taking cold showers, and that was in 2021. And I think that is the best part. Like I don't have a cold plunge yet. I eventually will have one because it makes my body feel so much better. Our bodies aren't meant to sit. And so being a paraplegic, I try to remain mindful of this. I have a frame that holds me in an upright position. I do a lot of my meetings and work from that throughout the day. I have leg braces I get in so I can move around and stretch my hip flexors. But the cold water is a massive thing that releases everything in my back, especially my lower back and hips and my upper back and neck. Like my muscles get so tight. And so I don't have a cold plunge yet. So I'm like cold showers every morning. And I just literally, I put it straight on my neck and I just sit there and I'm like, yes, this is so nice.
Oh, they're amazing. You're gonna absolutely. Have you used the cold plunge before?
I haven't. I've done ice baths, but I've not used the plunge yet. And I'm like, I want to use it so bad. Like, let me be your disability advocate on this thing because I am so excited.
Shoot, well, if Cold Plunge hears this, let's shout out Jesse, get her one of those. I mean, you could always DM them, like, it'd be a great thing, and you could do like reviews and stuff for them, like companies like that. I mean, especially like, with it being Cold Plunge, you being associated with First Form, like the owners of Cold Plunge and Andy are really tight friends now and stuff like that. And like Andy even said in Arte the other night, he was like, I probably sold more cold plunges than anyone on the face of the earth for this company because he literally probably has like I know 48, I think it's 45 members of Arte have gotten it in the past month. That's a lot of people buying a cold plunge in a month just because of Andy. So it just says a lot because I did cold plunges every day for 75 days and it literally changed my life, to be honest. Like it helps with like depression, anxiety and stuff like that because with being entrepreneurs and stuff like that, like we deal with so much stress and stuff throughout the day that our stress levels are usually at like a 5 or 6 or 7 all day long from the moment we wake up to the time we go to bed. And every time I get into that cold plunge, it resets it, which is
Yeah.
the best thing. It sucks ass every time I don't want to get in it. There's no doubt about that, but I'm always thankful that I do afterwards. So it is very nice. I just started doing cold showers again. I did it for a long time until I started doing the cold plunge, and then I was like, all right, I'm just do the cold plunge, warm showers. But now it's like, nah, cold showers are still nice. I'll wake up, do my cold shower, and then I use my cold plunge as like a recovery thing now after my second workout of the day, which has been game changer.
Well, so I noticed the cold showers helped me when it came to World's Toughest Mudder because they have a specific obstacle called Arctic Enema, which is literally a nonstop ice bath. They're just dumping ice in this thing for 24 hours straight. And so the cold is what always took me out the previous years. I would go hypothermic. I'd have to do skin to skin warm up with some random person. And like, it was always a thing. And so the last 2 years of World's Toughest Mudder, the cold didn't take me out, and we were able to hit our mileage goal of 25 miles, which for a wheelchair user is definitely no joke of a feat. And it was really cool because I've been doing Tough Mudder since 2017, and this was our first Worlds last year. where they had adaptive team bibs. So my whole team had matching bibs, which in World's Toughest Mudder, it's like a big deal. You have a mileage goal bib. If you're like an elite athlete, you have the elite athlete bib. It's like a little different. Depending on where you are in the Tough Mudder program, how many events you did, you have different bib colors. And so for the adaptive team to all have an adaptive team bib was awesome. But then we also had the silver 25-mile bib, which was an equivalent to a non-disabled 75-mile bib. And so that was also really cool. So my whole team got crowned with this bib, and it was just really such a rewarding experience.
That's freaking awesome. How long is that run? Like, what's
So
like the regular?
So the 24-hour one is 5-mile loops. So you just do laps all night long with all the obstacles. And so it's really fun. My favorite obstacle is one called cage crawl, where it's literally like fencing. And every other one has a black tarp over it, and there's water on your face, and they added these mop heads to them, which is really gross because everyone pees in the water. So now the mop heads have like pee water. And it's like going across your face. But you literally are on your back and you're dragging yourself across the cage. And and the water's up around your face like this. So I actually wore a full wetsuit. You know who did World's Toughest Mudder with me in 2022? Rob Acosta.
Really?
Yeah, it was his first OCR ever. And I was like, yo, bring tennis shoes and a wetsuit. I'll see you there in Vegas. We were at a Legionnaire event at First Form the week before World's Toughest Mudder, and I was like, if I can get you an entry, you in? And he's like, hell yeah, man, let's go. And it was one of the most rewarding 24 hours ever to like for us to hit that 25-mile goal, for me to get to do it with somebody that's never done a Tough Mudder at all. And he just jumps right into 24 hours with an adaptive athlete. Because now that's the cool thing about going out with an adaptive athlete. You're not just doing it for you. Your focus is getting that adaptive athlete through the course. Whereas being the adaptive athlete on course, you're letting go of all of your independence. That's the biggest thing we work for is independence. But now you're relying on this team of non-disabled people to get you through the course. So it's just a really cool dynamic, a really cool experience, and it's very rewarding, mind-opening if you allow it to be, and you realize how strong you are because one, staying up for 24 hours is no joke, but 24 hours of nonstop obstacles. So like between every single lap that we did, I would do post-workout, and then every other lap I would do post-workout and microfactor. And it saved me because it was like I have these that like I'm not able to eat. We're going nonstop. I don't want to shit myself in my wetsuit. So I'm like, that would be a nightmare. And so I'm like, you have to be creative. Like nutrition is everything in any long-term endurance event. And Tough Mudder was no different. And I noticed a massive difference in my last two World's Toughest Mudders than my first two, in my mindset, in my nutrition, in my performance. And I think that's the biggest thing is like learning from our previous experiences and being able to change and apply and adapt that.
No, that's freaking awesome. What time of year do they usually do the toughest world's toughest mudder?
Always in November.
Always in November. You're not, are you doing it this year?
I'm not. So I'm still recovering from surgery. My activity is limited. I had my second spinal revision because I broke my rods in half. And so the only way for them to fix it is to go in and cut you open and replace it. And so this was actually my second time doing this in the 8 years I've been paralyzed. And this time they pulled all the old hardware out, put new hardware in. It's thicker. It's supposed to be more durable, but I'm also not allowed to lift anything over 10 pounds for the next 3 months. I didn't mean to roll my eyes, but I'm just so
Yeah, I can only imagine. I mean, you're a strong lady, so it's holding you back from those weights sucks for sure. Well, do you plan on doing it next year?
I'm not sure. I'm planning on competing in High Rocks.
Ooh, okay. Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
I've been in talks with the guys over there. We have like a seated adaptation that I'm just gonna start literally November 24th. I'm allowed to start training again, and I'm going right into High Rocks training. My plan was to be able to do Dallas because last time I had surgery, they didn't give me any restrictions. I was like, I'll be back at it soon, and then they're like 3 months restrictions, so I'm gonna miss Dallas in November. I wouldn't be prepared enough for it, so I'm literally come November 24th when I'm allowed to start training, we're back at it and I'm training for High Rocks.
That's awesome. So talking about training, I want to go into the topic of CrossFit. So when did you first like get into CrossFit? Was it before your accident or after?
Before my accident, I was that person that went to the gym without a plan and drank every night and had no nutrition. So I want to preface with that. I didn't, and I had only started working out like 3 months before I got paralyzed. So I was new to fitness, and then I got paralyzed, quit it all. But we had a local organization here, by created by someone who's also has a disability. It's called Project Momentum Fitness, and she partners with local CrossFit boxes, and she coaches out of them and trains adaptive athletes. So it's a nonprofit organization, and that's where my introduction came. And then from there, I started following Kevin Ogar, who's like the godfather of wheelchair CrossFit. um, and then Chris Stouty, who created Wheel Wad, which is the place for international disabled competition. So Wheel Wad has adaptive training. They have adaptive competitions to qualify for their big end of year Wheel Wad games. And it is where all disabilities from all over the world come to compete for the title of fittest in the world, whatever their respective disability is. Derek White is training for it right now.
Oh yeah. If you guys don't know who Derek White is, dude's a badass too.
He's such a badass.
Yeah, he's straight badass. So like what do you like about CrossFit? Because I know what pulled me into CrossFit was just like, I love the high intensity training, but what made me stay was the community of people.
Same. Yeah, it's definitely so we co-host an event here in Charlotte called Fit with Friends. Wheel with Me co-host it. And it's really cool because the CrossFit gym that we hosted in, the owner Brendan is just so dope. Like he literally just cares about community. He's like, oh, just these are the dates we have open. When you want to do Fit with Friends? He's like, you want to get in the ice bath? He goes and like buys all this ice for us to be able to get in the ice bath. He's just like such a kind human. When I had a photo shoot I had to do for Aerie, he's like, yeah, come use the gym. That's cool. Like didn't charge me for the space or anything. And that's like an epitome of what the CrossFit community typically is just people that want to help lift other people up, people that want to support other people. Yeah, I love lifting the barbell. I think the barbell is probably my favorite part of CrossFit. And really what like sucked me in fitness wise, but what keeps me a part of that community is the community.
Yeah, 100%. Because I know when I transitioned from basically just working out by myself, running, doing a bunch of cardio, then I went to Planet Fitness. You go to like a typical commercial gym, everyone's just working out with their headphones in, like rarely have conversations, like no one's interested in talking. But then making the transition to CrossFit, I go in there, like no one listens to headphones. You listen to headphones, people give you shit because they're like, hey, like, there's other people here trying to talk to you. And it's just that environment that it like CrossFit creates. Is just like I can go into the gym, even though my gym has over 150 members. I know every single member because I've had conversations with all of them because they all want to talk. Like, guess what? It's a social environment. Like, that's like what I think most people they like struggle with when they first start their fitness journey and stuff is just going to a gym. Because I know when I taught like a lot of my clients and stuff that have never gone to the gym and stuff, I'm like, if you can afford it and if you really want to, I would highly recommend some sort of, CrossFit style training, some high intensity training, group classes, stuff like that, because it gives you more of a drive to want to go when you find other people. And just when you're suffering with other people, it kind of builds a connection. Because, like, I know after a tough workout, when everyone's laying on the ground and you just, I get up and I walk by and I start giving people nugs and high fives and stuff, like, that bond that creates just because we just crushed a hard wad, and just the fact that we just died together literally, like there's nothing better. And like when I was down at first form last month for the Always Be Learning Challenge, we did a workout called Burt, and that workout sucked ass, and we all died. Me, Aaron Summers, TJ, everyone was freaking dying. It was a 75-minute nonstop workout. It was 100 degrees outside, and yeah, we were all dying. But after, guess what? Now all the people that we did that workout with, we're all connected on social media. We all talk to each other often because we just built that connection there just by dying that one time together. Now that we're like best friends because of that.
Well, it's also cool. with the if you don't go to a box, because sometimes obviously boxes are expensive for some people, and so like if you're not a member of a CrossFit gym and you go to a big box gym, I noticed if you try to go, so I have a Y membership, and if I go to the same branch at the same time, I see the same faces, and I feel like I'm in a very unique position because people have what I call curiosity, which is like chair curiosity, and they want to know, they're like, wow, you're a pretty girl and you're smiling. Why are you in that wheelchair? Right. And that's literally what people say. Why in that thing? Like, and depending on my mood of the day, I entertain them. But you build relationships that way too, is like, you can build those same relationships. Like, hey, could you spot me for this set? And like, just ask somebody in the gym to just assist you in a workout, even if you don't need the assistance on bench. Get the damn assistance, and you can just start talking to them, ask them about their life, and then it's really cool because you build a relationship, and it's a genuine relationship, and people always want to help. Like in the back of their mind, they always want to help someone else. And so by you initiating that and asking for help, they're like, oh my God, yeah, like I'm 100% in. Like it's very rare that someone's going to deny you help.
Yeah, 100%. And like the thing most people struggle to realize when they go to the gym is the fact that everyone's there for the same reason. Everyone's trying to improve on themselves. So like when you first go to the gym, it's not like all these people are going to judge me or they're not going to want to be friends with me. Like they're there on the same mission as you. So don't let that deter you from actually just going to the gym. Like I can't tell you how many people I've talked to. They're like, oh, I don't like going to the gym, and people are going to judge me. I'm gonna look stupid. I'm like, well, you can minimize how dumb you look by one, going in with the game plan, and two, just focusing on yourself. Because truthfully, if someone's gonna judge you, let them fucking judge you.
Right.
People are gonna judge you.
Well, if people are judging you, they're not in the gym for the right reason anyway.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
and it's
They're
not
there
your
for their own. Yeah, they're just there for their own, sake. And you're always gonna have people like that. But guess what? Most of the people there, they want to build friends because like something I always preach to people is like you are the product of people you spend the most time with. So if you want to become a healthy, fit individual, guess what? Start hanging out with healthy and fit individuals. You will become one. I promise you that.
It really, that's so true too. And it's like, honestly, people's judgment of you it's not your business. What other people have to say about how you're living your life is not your business. And if people have that much time that they can worry about the way that you're living your life and what you're doing and what you look like, then they need to find some purpose in their life. And I think that we put too much value in other people's opinion of us.
Yeah, 100%. Because I know, like, when I first started doing, like, posting on social media consistently, all this stuff, I had people saying things like, oh, you think you're an influencer? It's like, no, I don't think I'm an influencer. I want to impact people's lives because if I can show people consistently what I'm doing to get to where I'm at, then why not do it? I'm sorry if that makes you feel less, but guess what? That doesn't make me feel less. And like, I know I struggle with like, I don't know about you, but I get a lot of shit in my inboxes talking shit to me. And that happens very constantly. And I just like, I used to let it get to me. And there's been times where I've had talks with, Sam and Connor saying like, dude, I want to fucking stop. Like, what the fuck is the point of doing this? Like, I literally, like, I put my heart and soul out there and show people what I do in my life to hopefully inspire them, yet people are hating on me, and like it just makes me want to not do anything with social media. So I'm curious if you've had similar situations like that.
Mine is because I'm a female, I'm like I refuse to get half naked. I've done that in the past, right? And I'm like I'm not getting half naked to get my point across. And that's what it feels like I have to do. I'm not getting boob implants to go with society's norms. I'm not getting lip injections and all these crazy things to go with norms. I don't have to wear makeup all the time. And I feel like there's these standards that are pushed on us to what creates good content. And when we let go of those standards and are just like, I did a live on this the other week where I'm like, you know what, fuck you people and your bullshit shallow asses. Like y'all are just puddle people. You have as much depth as a puddle, damn it. And like zero depth. And it's just so frustrating because that's really what it feels like. And I was explaining to a friend the other day, I'm like, it's very interesting. Videos that don't perform well on Instagram will do great on YouTube Shorts, but videos that do good on YouTube Shorts won't do good on TikTok. And it's like each platform you're serving a different audience. And it's like the videos that do well on one platform might not do well on another. And I found that interesting as well. I think social media is just it's a game. And that's what it feels like. And I'm not playing the fucking game. Like, you can either absorb what the hell I'm saying and respect me for the life experience I have, for what I'm doing, what I'm building. And if not, then fuck yeah. And like, I had someone in my comments the other week. The other thing I say is, like, I refuse to give words power. We are the ones who give words power. If somebody throws a racial slur at us or says stupid comments like, well, get up and walk. That's my favorite comment that people put on my post. Why don't you get up and walk? Why don't you just stand up for yourself? And I'm like, ooh, big man hiding behind a screen. Like, if I give those words power, I'm the one that's allowing that to hurt me. And so I had someone comment about how words are hurtful and all these things. And I'm like, look, this is my view. If you don't like it, block me. I don't give a shit. Like, I don't need your follow. I don't need your support. If I help you, I help you. If I don't, I don't. But if I don't, move on with your life. Don't try to bring me down in the process. And I think that's a problem that society has, is when they don't agree with somebody and their perspective of life, they try to bring them down and they try to degrade them. And that is a problem we have in society. We need to just learn to keep our mouth shut and move the fuck on and stop getting offended over everything.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a huge problem we deal with today. And the fact that, you know, it's all like you can perceive people's words how you want to. And one thing, like from the book, The Four Agreements, I don't know if you've ever read that. The
Yeah.
second agreement is do not take anything personally. If someone's giving you negative opinion, you can't really take it personally because they're dealing with their own things personally. It's most likely projecting their internal like flaws and stuff onto you. So I just like before I used to take it personally. Now it's just like, all right, well, this person's really dealing with some deep shit down in them and they're hiding behind the freaking computer being a keyboard warrior and all this other stuff. And it's just like, man, if they were just like read, the four agreements and then follow the first agreement, be impeccable with your words, like that is the most powerful thing you have. Like their life would change and they'd probably have a better freaking life and wouldn't have to be sitting there trying to talk shit to me on social media while I'm just sitting there laughing at them because like that really just goes to show like what you're dealing with deep down, that your insecurities are showing because it's not me. I'm not the fucking problem. You just see something in me that you dislike because I have it and you want to make me feel worse and bring me down. So that's just, yeah, it's the problem with society. If we had less people trying to put people down and more people like us that continue to, inspire and impact people, like the world would be a lot better place. And it all just starts with, that person making that decision like we did. And that's something that, is wrong with society today.
Well, I think another problem is that people think our lifestyle is extreme. And it's like, what? Because I fuel my body properly, I give my body movement, and I give my mind some things to continue to grow and develop. That's extreme. What? In what world? Like, it blows my mind that's considered an extreme lifestyle. So my roommate, completely in the last 2 years, she's lost 100 pounds through the app. She's completely changed her whole mindset, got red pilled. And it's just so funny how different she is. And she's like, my mom told me the other day, well, just because I'm not going to live your extreme lifestyle. And she's like, what's extreme about my lifestyle? The fact that, like, it just doesn't make sense. We're taking care of ourselves? What?
Yeah, no, it is like it's wild to think about because ultimately, like it would be a disservice to the Lord, the universe, or whatever you may believe in to not truly try reaching your full potential. And by me tracking my macros every day is unhealthy. What the fuck? You motherfucker, you're shoving Doritos down your fucking face all day. Get out of here. Like me track my macros, I'd rather be unhealthy about tracking my macros every day and feeling my body properly than not giving a fuck about anything and not tracking or doing anything about it. And then down the road when you have serious medical issues, you start asking, oh, well, now it's time to fix. Well, guess what? The sooner you start taking care of your fitness and your nutrition, the easier it's going to be down the road. It's a lot harder the later you start.
And when people look at it, that's why my whole thing is like, I'm not here to help you lose weight right now. I'm not here to help you look good. That's not my goal. My goal is the longevity of your independence. That's what I care about. I want you to be able to get on the floor and play with your grandkids. I want you to be able to take care of yourself as long as possible, not get put in a nursing home. Like that's what I care about. Is I don't give a shit about where you're at right now. I give a shit about where you are 20, 30 years from now.
Exactly. It's all about longevity. And like my whole thing is like my mission is to help people to improve their overall quality of life. Because I know when I was extremely overweight, for example, I remember when I was in high school, I went to get on this ride, and it's one that they brought the thing like over the top of you and they couldn't get it to latch. They brought like two people over, they were trying to get to latch, and I couldn't ride that ride. All the kids in my class, it was a senior year trip. All the kids in my class made fun of me, all this shit. And after that, I was just like, damn, like that, me being overweight is literally decreasing my quality of life. I'm not able to enjoy these things. I was never able to snowboard. I was never able to do all these things. I never even thought about doing CrossFit or any of the things, riding dirt bikes. Like I rode quads because I was a fat kid and I thought I was going to hurt myself on a dirt bike. And then once I got in shape and fit, guess what? I started riding dirt bikes and it was fucking amazing. There's
So
no way around. Yeah. Oh, it's a great time. It is. And going back on that, I want to touch on, you had a factory ride from Polaris before your accident. Tell me about that. How did you get that? And like, what was that all like? Because growing up, my dream riding quads and stuff was to get a factory ride. Everyone that's ever rode dirt bikes, quads, it's like, that is your dream, is to get a factory ride and be able to ride and do that for your life.
So I raced quads in a series called GNCC from 2005 until 2014. And I was in the women's class. I was the first female to podium in the youth quads, first female to podium in UTVs. So it was really cool to be able to pave the way kind of in that. And that's how I got the factory ride. So I was in the hospital, and this individual who wrote for ATV Scene magazine, his name was John Pellin. He reached out to me and he's like, "Hey, Jesse, would you want to race? GNCC has a single seat class for UTVs. Polaris just released this thing called the Ace. It's a single seat UTV. And so basically it's a quad with a roll cage. And this company, Racer Tech, they'll make you hand controls and we'll get you back on the track." And I was like, hell yeah. I asked my surgeon, he said, "You're good to go." And so I got this custom single seat side by side that I got to race for 3 years. I was on the TV show Destination Polaris, and they came to one of the races, which was really cool. And I literally got to live my dream. So from the time I was a kid and I first started racing GNCC all the way up until I got paralyzed, all I wanted was a factory ride where I get to show up to the track, I have my ride there, and then I get to race, and then I go home and I don't have to worry about anything. And I finally got that. And I think the biggest thing I took from that experience is my lack of gratitude, my lack of effort, and how much better I could have done if I would have got those two in check. But I was in this victim mindset where I deserved everything and everything should be handed to me. And I took that experience for granted. And I wish I had not done that, and I would have been just a little more grateful. And I wish that I had the mindset I have now, because I definitely would have been unstoppable and I was in my own way. And so really cool to get to learn from that experience. But I believe that's what kind of introduced me back into a normal life post injury, is because I got to do something I did before at the level that I had been working for my entire life.
That's freaking amazing. It's incredible to hear that. It's just wild to think about, like, you work for something for so long, then you have something drastic happen, like your accident. And then guess what? Your dreams even came true after the fact. And like so many people in your situation were just absolutely giving up all hope. And it just goes to show that, even though you go through some trials and tribulations throughout life and these, things that you never think you're gonna be able to overcome, that there is a brighter side of things. And that is incredible.
Well, I don't want to get it twisted. I definitely I just talked about this in a recent talk I gave. There were dark moments, especially those early days out of the hospital when I'd fall on the floor and work for like 4 or 5 hours trying to get myself back chair from the floor, and I couldn't, and I'd have to wait for someone to get home to literally lift me back into my wheelchair so I can move around. Just stuck on the floor, and I had this 22 rifle in the corner of my room, and there was a lot of days I looked at it and I was like, I could just end it. And what stopped me was the fact that I did code and I was resuscitated. The fact I was saved the day before my accident. I was an atheist up until the day before my accident. And like, I have a purpose. My grandmother told me I had a purpose. I can't do this. And I was worried that if I tried to, I would just give myself a worse brain injury. And I'm like, I definitely don't want to do that either. And so I gave my dad my rifle and I was like, hey, just take this. I don't want to like make a mistake that I can't take back. Can just throw this in the gun safe. And that's probably one of the most responsible decisions I made because there were a lot of dark days in the early parts of this injury because I didn't just lose the ability to walk. I lost the control of my bowel and bladder. And I think that's something that's often overlooked because people can only see the physical side. But like as a female, that takes away your sexuality a little bit. Now I'm wearing diapers and I'm like, oh, I'm so hot. Yeah. And I think that was one of the hardest things to mentally overcome. I'd fall on the floor and get stuck, and you get stuck in that moment of what you can't do. And that's all I focused on early on was what I couldn't do. I forgot about what I could still do. And there was a lot I hadn't experienced yet. And now 8 years into my injury, I look at it like there's nothing I can't do. If there's stairs, I'll drag my wheelchair myself up some fucking stairs. If I want to go camping, I have my single person tent. I'm going camping. Like, I don't let anything hold me back. The whole reason that I learned wheel skills the way I did, how to wheelie down roots, how to get down uneven surfaces, is because I want to experience life. I don't want to be stuck. I don't want to be bound to anything. And it's really cool because I get to give that to other people. My roommate, for the first time this year, we went hiking in the mountains of Tennessee, literally hiking down a mountain straight and back up a mountain straight up with roots and rocks. And like, she yeeted herself out of her wheelchair and her phone went flying and she went flying. She's like half sliding down this mountain. And like, we figured it out though. And it was so cool to get to have somebody along for that experience where it's just two girls in wheelchairs on a trail we shouldn't be on. A group of non-disabled people walk by us and are like, oh my God, what are you guys doing out here? Do you need help? And we're like, nah, we're good. We're just trying to explore. Like, that's what it's about though, is we're showing like we're in a situation that people don't expect to see us in. And now when they see another wheelchair user, that might just change their perspective of the way they see us in society. We're removing that label of not being capable, of being a victim, of being less than. It's like, nah, we're actually more capable than most of society. Because I know damn well, I know a lot of people that wouldn't be able to do that hike on foot that we did on wheel. So
That's freaking awesome. So we're winding down on time. So I got one final question. If there was someone thinking about giving up right now with life and everything going on, they may have a shit ton of things that have just not been going their way. What is one piece of advice you would give them?
in whatever manner life isn't going your way, find support groups of people that are going through the same thing. So, say you lost your job, or you lost a loved one, or you lost your mobility, or your vision, or your hearing. Finding support groups and finding community in that will change your whole perspective, and find successful people in those spaces. And you'll, with social media, it's easier now than it ever has been before. But I believe that the wheelchair using community saved me 100%. And I met a lot of people online. I've drove across the country 3 times by myself, and I have met a wheelchair user in every stop so I had an accessible place to stay, and I met them online, and they become lifelong friends. Like, I got to meet people that I met when I first got paralyzed online, and they helped me and saved me through that. And so just know that there's people going through the same thing, and you don't have to go through it alone, and that there's light on the other side. Nothing in life is permanent. Not this moment, not your health, not the people in your circle. So hold on to that fact that nothing in life is permanent. So this hard time is not permanent as long as you make effort, get support, and work through it.
That is incredible. It just goes to show that, you can find your tribe so easy nowadays. And anyone, you're struggling or anything like that, feel free to reach out to me or Jesse, or, just take a look at the things that you do enjoy. And there's a Facebook group, there's some sort of group that you can get involved with, because truthfully, you don't know that you mean a shit ton to a lot of people out there. So don't ever think that, the world would be a better place without you, because that's simply false. So I just want to say thank you, Jesse, for joining me on the Fresh Hope for Better You. It's truly an honor. You are a straight badass and a true inspiration. And if the audience listening to this, if you guys aren't inspired to actually start taking action on your life today, I don't know what will inspire you, but maybe something else. But I think Jesse should be the thing that definitely inspires you to actually take control of your life and make the most of it. So thank you again, Jesse, and I appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you for having me, Oliver. I really appreciate you. And if you take a nugget from this that a friend could like gain some value from, share the show.
Yeah, share the show with your people. You could be the missing link that helps someone change their life. So with that being said, guys, always remember there is a fresh hope for better you.